Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hello and welcome to season premiere number 2 for C2C Rankem. Tim, we made it one full year, so brought to you by Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I'm the host, Big B, alongside my sidekick, the Primus, halfway across the world. So, Tim, season 2 premiere, what's up?
I would be. I'm one of these people that gets shocked and pleasantly shocked. I didn't think one year went by so quick, and here we are looking at 1 year. It's amazing to say that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen. But yeah, 1 year went by quick. I think we did probably 45 shows at the most. I know we didn't hit every week due to conflicts, but we hope to have a better year, find more fun lists to do, see what kind of blunders we could make. I mean, I don't think nothing will top the Tony Gwynn moment that I had, but you just never know.
or the Pat McAfee moment that I had.
Yep, you just never know. And that's one thing about this. I mean, we like the list. We're going to do one of our favorite lists that we like. We like to do birthdays. Also, this season, we're going to break down a list that we find on the internet and give credit to them, kind of, him and Han on how they're ranked out. So I think we're going to have a fun year. So Tim, let's start with November birthday, the first. So looking at my list, I might have one curveball. Possibly we could get 3, I think.
I'm looking at it going, how many can I screw up in this? And
I almost screwed up one.
It's hilarious. And the funny thing is, we were talking backstage because we both kind of missed a date because I added one and we forgot to subtract one. And then one of the names shows up twice. It's kind of hilarious when you when you think about it when you're not really paying attention.
Yeah.
If I look at my list, I've got a curveball. I say 3. I definitely say I could say 3. If I got a curveball, it's going to be really, really weird.
Okay. All right. Well, let's kick it off. You kick it off.
We'll start in Major League Baseball.
Okay.
You're a bigger fan than I am, but I watch ESPN because that's half the time that's where I get my news from for baseball. And being here in Italy, you kind of get that opportunity to have ESPN, and so you basically get soccer, and maybe basketball, EuroLeague basketball. But I remember in my 20s, every time we catch a I'd catch a Cleveland Indians highlight. I honestly think this guy's got the greatest name in baseball. I think he's great. And I always laugh at it because I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. This guy's named after the cereal. My number 5 is the outfielder for the Cleveland Indians, Coco Crisp.
Ooh, yeah, I like that name. Just every time I see it, I just think of cereal. I don't know why.
I thought of that too. I'm like, are you kidding me? They called him Coco Crisp. I'm like, are you absolutely joking me? His name is Coco Crisp, and all I ever thought at that point was cereal.
Crispies. Yep. So my number 5, going to go country. One half of the group. I think they broke up for a tad, and then they might be back together. Actually, me and my wife are going to pick one of their songs as our wedding songs.
I don't want to know which one.
Yeah, but it's the group Big and Rich. Today, or November 1st birthday was They call him Big Kenny Albin or Albin. I'm sorry.
Which one? If there's one that had passed away, which one was one that passed away?
I don't think Bigger Rich passed away. I don't think so.
No,
It might be a friend of their band. We could look, but yeah.
Oh, I saw that one. I'm thinking, I don't know about that one, but I get it. I understand.
Yeah. All right, you're number 4.
Well, I'm going to stay in Major League Baseball.
Okay.
It's funny because I think this guy is like one of a few players that have actually played for both Los Angeles teams. Played for both the Dodgers and the Angels. A Hall of Fame pitcher, believe it, a Cy Young Award pitcher. Had probably one of the best pitchers that have come out of Mexico. He had this great delivery because every time he'd have this in his windup, he'd look up to the sky just before he decided to throw to the home plate. Heck, had a mania. I think he had a mania before Hulkamania. But I remember him. It was one of the few times that I actually paid attention to what Los Angeles Dodgers did. I think that was the first time I ever heard of the Dodgers was because of this pitcher. And that's if you know what Fernando Mania was, Fernando Valenzuela.
Good pitcher. All right, my curveball. We'll see if you actually get this one. I think he was a writer, columnist for the newspaper. And then I think he started working on 60 Minutes as a columnist. And that's what James Kilpatrick.
Nope.
All right, got my curveball in. All right.
Nope.
You're number 3.
That's a curveball I would have never seen coming. Where did he write? Where was he a columnist out of?
I can't remember what paper it said.
I'm gonna say you're gonna.
But he was a columnist for 60 Minutes. So
okay, that's kind of wasn't expecting that. All right, I'm going to the NFL.
Okay.
Was known at the University of Miami. Matter of fact, he was born in Guatemala City, Guatemala. Played at the University of Miami. No person who has met this player while he was at the University of Miami because he was a student at Florida State. Went on to be drafted by the Baltimore Colts. This was back in a time where if you got traded to another team, you had to be held over by another team. He was traded to the Oakland Raiders, but made a pit stop with the Green Bay Packers. The man was known as the Mad Stork. It's kind of odd. It's one of the few players that have actually played for both Baltimore and Green Bay. But the reason why I picked him is because his first initial and his last initial are TH. Like me.
Like you.
And the funny thing is, his last name is the same as mine.
Oh, okay.
My number 3 is the Mad Stork, Hall of Fame defensive lineman, Ted Hendricks.
Okay. I'll give you that curveball because if I would have saw that name, I would have thrown him up there to try to throw you off. But that's a good one. My number 3, MLB. You got him at number 4. I got him at number 3. So you sniped me already. So Francisco Venezuela. And like you said, he was Hulkamania before Hulkamania was Hulkamania. So, all right, you're number 2.
I am going to the squared circle.
Okay.
Hall of Famer. When he first came into the wrestling business, he was a wrestler, and then became a manager. Probably one of the greater stables in WWF. I believe he might have been in AEW. I can't remember. Turned out to be one of the great, to me, I think the greatest commentary duo in WWF history. I don't know who started calling him the Weasel, but I know it was because of a wrestling match, and he had to be, what was it? He had, if he lost,
he had to wear a weasel outfit, I think, or something.
He had to dress up as a weasel if he lost.
Yeah.
A man whose voice, keeps ringing in your ears when you remember old WWF stuff, and then went to WCW to work with Tony Schiavone. To me, top 2, top 3 managers of all time, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Okay. My number 2, we're going to NFL, the Gridiron, a guy that I believe got drafted by Kansas City and then came over to Minnesota, so it's a little homer pick. Now I think he does a lot with bull riding and that stuff. And that's one offensive guard, Steve Hutchinson.
Oh, I forgot about Hutch. Wasn't Hutchinson in Seattle for a little bit?
Went to Seattle for a little bit. Or no, Seattle, you're right. He was in Seattle, came to Minnesota. You're right. I was thinking of the defensive end. Jared Allen, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was a big thing that Hutchinson's contract was wrote differently, and Seattle couldn't match it because of how it was written. And Hutchinson. All right, you're number 1.
All right, I don't think we're getting 3. At this point, we're not getting 3. I think we might get 2 at the most. Back in the day, they made a movie about this man and technically what they consider the First Amendment. I swear, I'm going to tell you this. I believe this is going to be a first for C2C for Rankem. We're going to actually put a magazine publisher on our list. The man was played brilliantly by Woody Harrelson. Can we say Hustler on C2C or Facebook? We'll find out after this show. Probably one of the biggest First Amendment cases in history, and that's one Larry Flint.
I don't know if I should give you a curveball on that one because I was going to put him on the list, and I started thinking, I'm like, that might be out there. I thought I was going to throw him on there. I second-guessed it, but my number 1, again, you got the first 2 snipes of the new season. We're going in the square circle. One of the greatest managers, Heenan family. Commentators, I mean, him and Gorilla together was amazing. Him and Sylvani was amazing. Him and a little brief time back and forth with Mean Gene.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bobby the Brain Heenan. When I almost missed that one when I was going through the list, and it caught my eye, and I'm just like, oh yeah, we're definitely putting him on there. All right, we're 2 for 5. You got 2 snipes. We each got a decent curveball.
That's what we should do. That's what we should do. We should keep track of each other's snipes for the season.
I was doing that. All right. So November 4th, just 3 days ago. This one I thought was going to be kind of difficult. I don't think I have any curveballs, but I'm going to go with the 2.
I'm thinking possibly 4. If we're not doing curveballs, I'm thinking possibly 4.
I could see that. So
I'm just curious about who you could have put on there, because I remember November 4th, and November 4th was a big list. If I remember
Yeah.
what I had was a big list.
All right, so number 5 for me, I'm going to go with MLB. I don't think he was teammates. No, I don't think so. Of Francisco, but they played for the Dodgers. I believe he was part of the four-peat a Rookie of the Year. Infielder Eric Karros.
Saw that one on the list.
Okay, you're number 5.
My number 5, I'm going to go to the gridiron. I'm going to start right off the rip. The only player to have in Super Bowl history to return the opening kickoff in the Super Bowl for a touchdown should be in the Hall of Fame. Should have been a first ballot Hall of Fame without a question. Basically, was the only spark in the Chicago Bears. During the Super Bowl against my Colts, and I was happy he was the only spark because we know Sexy Rexy can't beat a University of Tennessee quarterback. I know that from experience as well. Probably, arguably one of the top 2 return men in NFL history, outside of Dion. I know a lot of people would argue Dante Hall would be up in that list too. Should be in the Hall of Fame. Ended his career in Atlanta, I want to say. And that's the University of Miami. Wow, I think this is starting to become a trend on my thing where I pick guys from the University of Miami. I'm not going to call them the U because that's stupid. Number 5, my number 5 is number 23 from the Chicago Bears, Devin Hester.
Okay, I missed that one. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, he should be up there definitely. My number 4, semi-funny lady. She could be funny. She could be kind of a dud once in a while. But Kathy Griffin.
Yeah, didn't even put her on the list. I'll tell you right now, didn't even put her on the list.
Yeah.
Holy hell. Okay. I saw her and I went, no, she's not. To me, she's all miss more than she has hit. I can't. To each their own. I just don't really like her comedy. I don't find her as funny as everybody else does. But then again,
I don't either.
My sense of humor, and she's not even in the same solar system. Okay, that was your number 4.
Nope.
Okay, my number 4. I actually had a friend who was a roommate of my number 4 at the University of at Ohio State University. He now, funny thing is, he was from Columbus, and I don't know where my number 4 was born. But he could tell me. He wanted to tell me stories because he was in the athlete's dorm, and the fact is he was a journalist major. If Scott's watching, Scott works for Cleveland TV now. He's a newscaster in Cleveland. But he told me that he was roommates of my number 4, who is a Super Bowl champion with the St. Louis Rams. To me, I think the St. Louis Rams. I think the Rams, in its entirety, in its history, probably one of the Rams' best linemen of all time. Definitely in the Hall of Fame. I want to think he was a number 1 draft pick by the Rams. I can't quite remember, but I think he was. That's the left tackle for the St. Louis Rams, Orlando Pace.
Yeah, I missed that one. Yeah, he was first overall, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so 4 is out. My number 3 possibly one of the top 5, if not top 10 mothers of TV shows. I've only seen her in one TV show. Well, actually, two. She made a cameo on a King and Queens episode or two. But that's the mother of Everybody Loves Raymond, Doris Roberts.
I'll tell you now, 3's out the door too. I saw that one. That was one on the list. I had 12 names on. I could easily done 10 on this list.
Yeah.
My number 3. Let's see. The founder, one of the co-founders, if not the founder of Bad Boy Records, made a huge killing off Biggie, off Notorious B.I.G., Mace, the whole group, and made an even bigger killing after Biggie Smalls was murdered. I think what was it? He did a movie. I think it was like Get Him to the Forum or something with Jonah Hill and Russell Brand. Guy's just making hand over fist over hand. This guy just makes everything. Seems like everything he was touching was making money. My number 3 is Sean Puff Daddy Combs.
All right, that was your number 3. Okay. Well, my number 3.
Your number 3 was Doris Roberts.
Or number 2. You're right. I started. All right, number 2. You said it. You got 3 snipes to my none. But Puff Daddy, he was also made a agent appearance as an agent in the movie DraftKings. Puff Daddy at one time, anything he touched was gold. I think was a moneymaker. I think he's kind of fallen off a little bit, but all right, you're number 2.
My number 2. Well, we'll go into acting. Now you're going to look at your list, and you're going to go which one of the 2 that does he have? Which you've only got 1. I've got 2.
Okay.
This man has put, I believe, everything that he's ever been in. Somehow he talks the director and the casting director to put his mother in the movies, which is hilarious. An absolute phenomenal actor, has such a broad spectrum and broad way of acting, which is funny because his dad was the backup quarterback in Green Bay. Now you're thinking, right?
I am thinking.
Which is hilarious because he's a Texas guy, born and bred, and his dad played for the Green Bay Packers. I believe his dad has a Super Bowl ring as a Packer. But everybody knows my number 2 actor as being a hardcore University of Texas fan. Has played Terry Bradshaw's son in the movie Failure to Launch, I believe. Wins an Oscar for a movie called Dallas Buyers Club. To me, I think his greatest work of art that he's ever done is Interstellar. To me, my wife hates it, but I absolutely love the movie. And when you hear his Oscar speech, it's kind of it's inspiring. I don't have it with me, but I've read it, I've heard it. I thought it was amazing. And when you can finish your Oscar speech with probably your most famous line that you've ever said in a movie, all right, you kind of get put on this list. My number 2 is Matthew McConaughey.
All right, I'll put it up there. My number 1. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey. I saw that and I kind of took him off second. And I'm just like, I got, look. Yeah, he's my number 1 by far. Great actor. He should have more awards than what he does. And like you said, when he can end the speech by, his famous line, all right, all right, all right. I mean, I didn't know he had his mom in a lot of his movies. I didn't know
Oh
that.
yeah. She always plays, and she's like in some little small little role, but she shows up in just about everything he does.
Okay, cool. All right, you're number one.
My number one, I kind of went childhood. I went with a childhood actor of ours.
Okay.
Um, they did 4 movies, which he was actually in 3 of them, which he's actually the hero. And then Netflix does a series um, where he's actually the villain in the first season, which is hilarious. When your guy, when you can come back to play the same role just 20, 30 years down the road, it's amazing, and you still have the recognition that you do. Um, Anything from The Outsiders to Karate Kid to and now to Cobra Kai, to play Danny LaRusso in Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. It was just a little bit of a homer pick for me, a little personal pick. When I saw this name, I thought he had to be number one because he meant a lot to us as kids because we watched basically all 3 of his movies, 4 of them if you watch The Outsiders. And that's Ralph Macchio.
I missed that one. It was one of those things I kind of saw the name and it didn't register until you started talking. I'm like, oh crap. But that's a good one. All right. So 4 of our first 10, you got 4 snipes. I haven't got you yet. So let's go into a date you added, November 7th, which I had to do some research on quick. So this will be interesting.
This will be real interesting.
All right. I have a feeling I know we got one for sure because as I was doing it, I mentioned it and you said it. I'm going to go. I got a curveball. You're going 3? I'll go 3. I think we go 3. I got a curveball, maybe 2 curveballs.
All right.
All right, you start.
My number 5 is kind of my wife had told me more about this guy. He was born in France, but to find out that his sister is Italian. Don't ask me how that works. She's met his sister, which is really strange when you consider, like I said, he's French, but everybody knows this guy for all the remixes he does in music. Probably one of the most famous DJs that remixes so many different songs. I love his remixes. They kind of have this transit beat that kind of just sticks. It just has such a wonderful sound, a great, amazing feeling to it. My number 5 is David Guetta.
Okay. I know this one will be a first in C2C Rankem history. I'm going to bring up a dart player, pro dart player.
Yep, don't have that.
Well, I'll mark that as a curveball for me. But one Bob Anderson.
And the sad, oh my gosh, really? The sad thing is, this is going to be really sad because I almost put Bob Anderson on the list. This is how sad it is. And the crazy thing is, I
was looking through it. I'm like, dart player. Wow, we haven't had that one. That's going to be a curveball.
And the funny thing is, my Uncle Dale's stepdaughter is named Susan Anderson, and she married a Bob Anderson.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, there's only 3. If half the people, if my normal people show up to watch the show, they're going to get it. That's the only people that are going to get it. and I'm like, as soon as I thought, no, I'm not going to put Bob Anderson on. It's just self-service for myself. And then you brought it out. Oh.
All right. You're number 4.
Number 4. I'm going to go with the WWF. I want to think he was. I can't remember. I can't remember the stable he was in. but this is like in the 80s. I remember he had I believe he had a match with Hogan for the title. Was he one of Heenan's people? I can't remember. Okay, then you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I do know who you're talking about.
I to me, probably the funny thing is, from everything I've heard, probably one of the nicest guys in WWF, considering the size and the kind of the heel he was in WWF. And then I remember seeing him in a Richard Pryor movie.
I was gonna say he did the acting, yeah.
Yeah, he did a little Richard Pryor movie, and it's crazy. And then it's like I'm starting to wonder if they reused his singlet for the Big Show later on. No, that's a small joke. My number 4 is King Kong Bundy. I believe that's in the Hall of Fame as well.
No, Bundy's not.
Bundy? Oh, come on! Really?
I don't believe he is. I could be wrong. I think that's one that comes up every year. All right, my number 4. I'm going to go on the military side of things to pay respect. I know Veterans Day is coming up too, so he's a Navy SEAL guy. I didn't get much of his credentials, but Marcus Latiner, Luttnell.
Is he the one that was he the one that they based the movie Lone Survivor off of?
Yes, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
He was going on my list too, and then I'm like, oh no. Again, probably somebody. I'm going to start realizing that if I don't think anybody else is going to know who that guy is, somebody out there is going to know who it is. So I'm going to start putting people like that on my list.
All right. You're number 3.
My number 3. You might as well get ready for your next snipe one. Oh my gosh. We grew up, we're going to go acting. There was this little TV show that had probably a very, very famous theme song. And this is before Cheers. And we're talking about a man named Brady. My number 3 is Christopher Knight, aka Peter Brady.
Yeah. All right.
Go ahead.
Well, let's get into it. My number 3, I thought was going to be a second curveball of mine, but my number 3 is your number 5.
Really?
Yes. I thought it was going to be a curveball, but yes, David Gutierrez. Yes. Yeah. I figured you would have been like, oh, this guy was right up your alley since we met when you were a DJ, and I figured that's the route you would have went. So yes, that's a snipe. That was what, number 3? You're number 2.
My number 2. Here we go. We're gonna go see if I can throw another sniper out there. At this point, I'm playing David Kyle from American Sniper. At this point, I'm going Major League Baseball, and I'm gonna go play in your ballpark. Hall of Fame pitcher. Former Hall of Fame pitcher of the Washington Senators / Minnesota Twins. Probably top 10 pitchers in Minnesota history. My number 2 is Jim Catt.
Wow. Oh, that's a big miss.
I thought for sure that was going to be on your list.
That's a big miss on my part. Maybe we should track that big misses. Wow. Yeah. My number 2. Well, we'll go with the theme. My number 2 is your number 3, Christopher Knight, Brady Bunch Peter. Definitely got to have him up there. All right, you're number 1.
I think we're going with another first. I'm not sure. We've had Nobel Prize winners, but I don't think we've ever had female Nobel Prize winners.
Possibly, I don't know.
And because of her discovery, she dies because of being infected and being because of what she found out. She wins the Nobel Prize for discovery of radium, but she basically just while she discovered it, she basically gave herself poisoning, radium poisoning. My number one is Marie Curie.
I'll give you a curveball on that one. I wouldn't. I mean, I know you're the history guy, and if I was probably saw the name, I probably would have thrown it out there. But all right. So let's hang it up there. The master of the 5 count. That's all I gotta say. King Kong Bundy, Heenan family. I'm almost positive he's not in the Hall of Fame, and if he's not, he should be. But yeah, from documentaries I've heard, Bundy was one of the nicest giants back there.
Him and Bigelow. Him and Bigelow, from I've heard, are two of the nicest guys, big men I've ever heard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, outside of Andre, but yeah, some of those guys, yeah. All right, so 3 of 5. So that puts up
all on Snipes, folks. All on Snipes.
Yep, 8. Well, typically they would be on Snipes. Yeah, you got 8 of them. You got all 8 Snipes so far. No, I can't count. You got 7 Snipes.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, what's one difference, right? All right, so let's move into and that was today's birthday. So happy birthday to those guys.
And to my stepson Davide. Happy birthday.
And your stepson, yep. All right. Number 9, or November 9th, number 9, birthdays. So a couple days from now. I would hate
I want to see how many are going to get sniped on this one.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, and I get to start.
Because you got to go first.
God.
That's it. That's
the thing is you can snipe them all.
That's the thing. Here's the funny thing is I'm figuring out at this point there for the rest of this whole season I'm gonna game plan just to snipe.
You're gonna game plan just to snipe. All right. There's 3 obvious ones I think we'll get.
Yeah.
I think I got one curveball in the group. So
Ooh.
I could see going 4.
I could see going 4.
Just because I know where we met and stuff and stuff we like. So but I get to start. So I'll start off with what I think is going to be my curveball. And for some reason, I thought it was a different singer. But he's a rocker. I know the name. I probably heard some of the songs that he's been a part of. And that's one Tom Fogerty. Fogerty.
You've heard of his brother.
Yeah.
You thought it was John Fogerty.
Yeah, because he sings Center Field, one of my favorite songs.
And the funny thing is, I think they have the same voice, and they used to sing. They used to sing.
Yeah.
Both used to sing with CCR.
Yeah, no, I love Fogerty. So
I do too.
All right.
Well, you brought music. You brought music into this.
All right.
And I remember where we met. And this group, because she's part of a group, there's 3 in the group, and nobody ever remembers Spinderella, but I do, because she was the pretty one. She was the pretty one of the group. To me, that's cool. Had a big in the 90s. And actually, I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, they're doing a U.S. tour right now with New Kids on the Block, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're doing some kind of 80s.
Let's mark that down right now. That's a snipe. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there is a movie that comes up with one of their songs that comes out of nowhere called Deadpool. And then all of a sudden, it's the resurgence of Salt and Pepper. My number 5 is Pepper. Yep, that's the great sound I like hearing. I love hearing that.
Yep, Peppa was on there. I think they showed up on Coming to America, the second one that just came out a couple years ago. Yep. I think they did. Yeah. Matter of fact, I got to meet them. Crazy story at the airport when I worked at McDonald's. one of our bosses came in, dude, fit guy, 6'3", 6'4" walks in, saying hi to everybody, and then all of a sudden he screams like a little 13-year-old girl. Was great. Salt and Pepper were in there doing a finishing up a album release or something, or album with Jimmy Jam. So yeah, Peppa's my number 4. Your number 4.
My number 4. I'm gonna go with a multi-talented individual, who is a son of a hockey player, from the New York Rangers. For some reason, this gentleman claims to be Canadian, even though he's born in New York. Manhasset, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was born there while his dad was a New York Ranger. He was in a little movie where he gets blown up, called MacGruber. Is in a band, lead singer of a band. I think was doing a world tour. The original undisputed champion, unified champion.
Okay.
In WWE. I think the reason why we do this is because I like doing this, and it's because he was best friends with Kevin Owens, and he had this certain thing called the list. And if you did him wrong, you made the list. Had the Lion Tamer and the Walls of Jericho, lead singer of a band which does his walk down music, and that's one Chris Irvine, otherwise known as Chris Jericho.
All right.
God damn it. I thought you missed it.
My number 3.
Oh.
Manager, MLB. And if I recall, I think there's a clip of him. I could be thinking of another great manager of getting sidestepped and falling to the ground against one Pedro Martinez.
I didn't see him.
My number 3 is Whitey Herzog.
You're thinking of a different. You're thinking of a different.
I am, now that I think about
you're
it.
Thinking of Don Zimmer.
God, why do I get those two mixed up? But yes, Whitey Herzog. 87 Cardinals manager, if I recall.
Yeah, he's the one that won the World Series over the Milwaukee Brewers in '83.
Yeah.
Hell of a manager. I'll give you that.
Yep.
Number 3. Again, I'm going to go a little back into our past, where we're young enough to where superheroes actually showed up on our TV. And my mom has this amazing story about watching the Incredible Hulk on TV during the thunderstorm. And that was back in the day where the antenna to the TV was outside and would hook directly to your TV. We had this big box TV, big box TV in the living room. And just as Bill Bixby was turning into the Incredible Hulk into my number 3, lightning hit the antenna and cracked the TV. My mom literally watched me run out of the room thinking that the Incredible Hulk was coming through our TV. My number 3 is Lou Ferrigno. No, not on the list.
Man, one off. Number 2. He appears on King and Queens. Like you said, you can't get the Hulk mad. Lou Ferrigno. Yeah, I had him at number 2. You sniped him at number 3. All right, you're number 2.
I'm going to stay in Major League Baseball. To me, I know there are people in St. Louis that are going to disagree with me. I don't care. I think one Greg Galino is not going to be happy with who I'm going to say, but I'm going to say this. I think St. Louis Cardinals' greatest pitcher of all time, Hall of Famer, Cy Young Award winner, an amazing pitcher back in the 60s, early 70s. I kind of alluded to this in the back in the backstage back while we were having our little discussion. My number 2 is Bob Gibson.
Yep.
Go ahead, hang it up there. I know what your number 1 is. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're at number 1. The man of 1010 hole, 1001 hole, yeah, in WCW. Y2J's own Chris Jericho. Yep, my number 1. Your number 1.
My number 1. So I know my number 1 is safe. Still can't be sniped.
Yep.
Back in the 70s, there was this scientist, huge scientist, had this annoying voice, and he kind of got made fun of on Saturday Night Live. And he had this TV show back in the 70s that used to be on, I want to say, Sunday nights. For some reason, CBS would like to throw him sometimes after football, which was probably a dumb idea. But had a show called Cosmos, and at the time was a well-respected scientist, which another well-respected scientist might be on this list some further down the list later. But my number 1 is Carl Sagan.
Okay. All right.
I'm thinking, I know you don't have him.
No, I don't. But you got, again, you're sniping away. You're up to 9 total. You're just getting them right before me. Except for Jericho, you got everyone just right before me. All right, so let's move into November 11th, which is Veterans Day. So, thank you for everybody that served. My cousin is doing that currently. Your brother. I know we've had some other relatives and friends.
Cousins, uncles, grandparents. Yep.
This one's going to be tough, I think. I'm gonna go 1. Ooh,
Possibly 3.
Ooh, that's gonna be tough.
I'm gonna start. I have this feeling I'm gonna start off by sniping you right off the top.
Ooh. And I go first too, don't I?
No, you do. I go first.
All right.
No, yeah, I go first.
You, me. Yeah, you go first.
Yeah. And the reason why I and I'm going to tell you this right now, this one was dirty pool on my part. I'll be honest.
Uh-oh.
Because I know how much you like this person. So I kind of did you a service, a favor by putting him at number 5. This person showed up on Growing Pains, an actor that showed up on Growing Pains when we were little young kids. George Lucas at one time had rumored that he was going to play Anakin Skywalker in the prequels to the Star Wars movies. I am so glad that Rose did not have enough room on that door so Jack could die in Titanic. Thought it was amazing. Thought it was perfect. The only good movie that this guy has ever done is The Departed. The Revenant, I thought he should have never won an Oscar for, but he's being dragged through the woods as a dead person. I'm like, if anybody who wins an Oscar for being unconscious, there's a lot of people that should have won. Instead, he gets eaten, basically destroyed by a CGI bear. My number 5, and I am so happy to do this for you, Brandon, because I think you have him at number 1. My number 5 is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll start with a curveball here, I believe. Jazz singer.
Yep. That's a curveball.
He goes by Hank. His real name is Walter Granlund.
I think that's the first jazz person we've had on the list.
I was going to say, well, jazz, blues, I kind of do the same, but this one was strictly jazz. So at least I'm getting the curveballs.
Yeah.
You got a couple, but
I'll give you the
number 4.
My number 4. I'm staying in acting. I have an actress who I think her first movie was Mystic Pizza. But I think everybody remembers this woman for a little movie called Striptease, where all of a sudden she's like a 40-year-old who basically has the body of a 25-year-old, which is kind of strange. I don't think that should be allowed physically. But I think she's more well known for being the ex-wife to both Bruce Willis and to Ashton Kutcher. My number 4 is Demi Moore.
Why? Yes, I do have Debbie Moore. That's my number 4. So we got him in the same spot. So, but you got her first. Yeah, Striptease. And also thoughts go out to Bruce Willis, who no longer can speak
or read.
Oh, really? I thought it was.
Yeah, I read that interview. I read that report, and it's like he can't read. He can't.
But the picture that sheet, he still has a smile on his face, man. I don't know.
I at that age, and if I ever had that illness, I wish I had half the. Wish I had half the outlook he has.
And honestly, she was in the movie Ghost too with Patrick Swayze. So
yep,
that was a good one for her. I like that one. All right, you're number 3.
My number 3. I just watched a movie with him in it, and I thought, and in the movie he watched that he won an Oscar, and absolutely creeped me out. He's this actor is amazing. You rarely see him do something bad. He was the host for the Hunger Games, so you always saw him. He also did I want to say he did 2 out of the last 3 Transformer movies, but the movie that I remember him for, and it was recently, but he was absolutely brilliant, and was The Lovely Bones, which was directed by Peter Jackson. He won the Oscar for his role. My number 3 is Stanley Tucci.
I'll give you a curveball on that one because I wouldn't have thought that one. My number 3, I know we've had golf on here before. I just like the guy's name. I mean, he's, better golfer than I'll ever be. But Fuzzy Zoeller.
Oh, I thought you were Gary Player. I get because I know Gary Player's on. I know Gary Player was in our list too, but Fuzzy Zoeller. Yeah, he's a hell of a golfer. Yeah. Number 2, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Probably one of the funniest people, second or third to Robin Williams, which is funny because, Robin Williams. It was funny because I just talked to my wife about him on Saturday about Mork and Mindy, and how Robin wanted this person to play a role in the series later on when Mork and Mindy have a kid, and he said he wanted this actor, this comedian, to be his son. But the funny thing is, this person is 25 years older than Robin was at the time. And it's hilarious. And you find out that the reason why he wanted that was because this person was Robin Williams' mentor. My number 2 is Jonathan Winters.
I'll give you a curveball on that one. I like that one. I didn't know that whole background. I saw the name, but didn't kind of.
He's Shelley Winters' brother, I want to say.
Okay. Well, my number 2, it pains me, and I don't, and the kid's a good actor. Don't get me wrong. Leonardo's a good actor. I just kind of fell out of liking him because his head got too big, and people started comparing him to Nicholson, and he started kind of dressing all in black and with the black shades, and it was just for a short time. But again, that's just me. It kind of bugged me because nobody's gonna be another Jack Nicholson. But Leonardo DiCaprio, loved him in Growing Pains. Didn't do a bad thing in Titanic.
Watch him in Basketball Diaries. Watch him in Basketball Diaries and What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
I've seen those 2. But like you said, The Departed was probably his best role. But yeah, Leo at number 2. Again, another snipe by you. All right, you're number 1.
It's kind of hilarious that Veterans Day is November 11th. right?
Yep.
I'm going military.
Okay.
Probably one of two or three of the most famous generals in United States history. I'm arguably behind Washington and MacArthur. Um, he probably stepped foot right outside where I'm sitting right now, which is strange because he was in Italy, he was in Sicily, he was in Germany. But I thought it was hilarious that November 11th is Veterans Day, and there is a general born on November 11th, which I think is hilarious. My number one is George Patton.
Yeah, the king of snipes today. Yes, I got Patton as my number one. That was literally the first name I wrote down. And then once I realized it was Veterans Day, I'm like, yeah, that's fitting. I mean, you can't have it no other way with number one. I don't, but all right. Well, the sniping, I'm starting to feel like I'm the Denver Broncos here playing the Miami Dolphins. I just can't get on the board, so. But we got three out of five, so we're still hitting there. So let's move on to the 11th, or I'm sorry, we did the 11th, 13th. I can't speak today. So, this one, if we come up with one, I'll be shocked. This might be an offer, but
I think it might be two. I think we may get two.
We could go to two. So I get to start. Backup quarterback most of his career. I think that's what everybody knows him for. There might be an infamous play revolving around the Jets that I believe he was a part of as a quarterback. And when he went to the Jets, everybody talked about Vinny and the Jets. So we'll go Vinny Testaverde at number 5.
I like
You're
that.
number 5.
I'm going acting. He's only become popular as of late in the last 20 years. I saw him do a little musical with a person who was actually on one of our lists like a couple months ago, Emmy Rossum. She did Phantom of the Opera, which is with my number 5. But he's more recognizable for playing Leonidas in the 300, which I thought he was brilliant in. He's done other little bit parts, and for some reason he does a watch commercial here right before movies at the movie theater, which I think is hilarious. My number 5 is Gerard Butler.
Give me a curveball on that one. I like that one. That's a good one. My number 4 could be my curveball this date. Screenwriter, TV producer, director. He's directed a lot of our shows that we watch as a kid, as Happy Days. I want to say All in the Family, but I could be wrong on that one.
You're good. You're good on that one.
Yeah, Gary Marshall.
Saw that one. It's going to take a lot of work for you to snipe me. That's all I can say. My number 4. I'm going to go to TV. I remember him the first time I ever saw my number 4. He was on a TV show on this, I want to say Spike, with Adam Carolla. Thought it was a weird show. It wasn't really a show that was up my alley. Yeah, they did some things, but that's the first time I've ever seen a live show where they were drinking beer on stage. So I thought it was pretty cool. Outside of that, but became famous. Actually, used to do. I can't remember what he used to do it on, but he used to do a Karl Malone and a Charles Barkley impersonation, which I think are pretty good. But has gotten a talk show now. I want to say I don't know if he's gotten himself in some trouble lately, but from what I've been hearing, I don't know. But my number 4 is Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, I kept him off the list. I'm not a big fan of his. Yeah.
After
When you started, when
after
you
he
started
got
saying voices, I'm like, did I miss Frank Callahan? No, because he does
no.
great voices.
No, but after he got away from Adam Carolla, I thought he got better.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My number 3 pitching coach. I think his kid has pitched in the majors. Um, I know he's played for the dreaded Yankees. I think he's played for the Mets. I think he's got a couple of rings. That's one Mel Stoudemire.
I think he's the pitching coach. He was the pitching coach in New York.
Yeah,
I think he still might be.
he might be. So, all right, you're number 3.
You want to hang a banner?
Oh, do I get one?
It's not
I
C2.
get one.
It's not C2 and C2C unless you're sniping. Yeah, this sucks. This sucks. This is like I wanted to put an offer on your board. I remember him getting drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The funny thing is, my dad would sit there and they used to use the excuse that Vinny Testaverde was colorblind. That's why he used to throw to the Packers when he threw interceptions to the Packers. Yeah, my number 3 is Vinny Testaverde, which is funny because if you think about it, in Italian, his name is Greenhead.
Greenhead. All right. All right. My number 2, I'm going to stick with baseball. And like we've said before, somebody's got to be the first. This guy's a Hall of Famer coach.
I knew it. I knew you went that way.
I'm trying to think of what else I can say about him.
Oh,
former Negro League player.
I think he's in the Hall of Fame as a Brewer, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I think it just said Hall of Fame.
He got drafted.
But
I think he got drafted by Milwaukee, so they could put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Buck O'Neil, my number 2.
You and Buck O'Neil. Oh man. I saw it. I stayed away from it. I don't know why. That was so stupid on my part.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna pay you back for the Vinny Testaverde one right here.
Okay.
You know how we had Demi Moore earlier? We did this movie called Ghost.
Yep.
My number 2 is a co-star of Demi Moore. I think has gotten crazier ever since she started doing that women's TV show on The View. I think the moment her hair turned gray, I think the brain cells have gone with it. My number 2 is Whoopi Goldberg.
And for the second straight category, date, you take my number 1, Whoopi Goldberg. Yes, great actress. Like you said, I think her views now, funny pun, kind of getting out there a little bit, but she's actually rumored to have Sister Act 3 coming out. So
why?
I'm money. I don't know. I'll watch it. I watched the first 2, but yeah, Whoopi Goldberg.
I'll watch it only because we're because of our childhood.
Yeah.
My number 1. I don't know if I've read 2 of these books.
You lost me at books.
When you hear the names of the books, you kind of go, "Oh yeah, that I kind of understand that." I didn't. I've read the books. I really enjoyed the books. The author of Robinson Crusoe, Jekyll and Hyde, and Treasure Island. My number 1 is Robert Louis Stevenson.
Yeah, I'll give a curveball on that one too. I like that one.
The guy that I replaced was the guy that I took off the list, which was the huge curveball that was originally number 1. Was a lawyer and former governor of Delaware and Pennsylvania, John Dickinson.
Yeah, you would have got a big curveball on that.
Because we met in Dickinson County, Michigan.
All right. So let's move into the 16th, which you originally took off, but I still kept on. So
I had to rush to do it.
Yeah, just like I had to rush to do the 7. So this one will be interesting. I know I got a curveball. I could possibly have 2.
I'm thinking 2.
Yeah. I'm with you. I might have 3 curveballs actually, but all right. So I
I go,
start.
you go.
No, you go.
I go
Yeah,
first.
yeah. All right.
I'm going acting. Um, she's done a movie with her brother. Her other claim, she did a movie with her brother called Donnie Darko, um, which is funny because that's not the only thing they've shared. They've shared a kiss with Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger in Brokeback Mountain, and with her brother, and then she in The Dark Knight. Um, I think she's an amazing actress. She doesn't get enough. Her movie when she was in the movie Secretary, and it is absolutely diabolical what she does in that movie. My number 5, the brother is Jake Gyllenhaal. My number 5 is Maggie Gyllenhaal.
I saw that one. Top 10 for sure. I would have popped her in there. My number 5. I'm going to go curveball here. I'll let you disagree. Possibly the second time, third time we brought up this sport over the last year. And we're going into boxing.
Oh, you're going a different direction. Shoot. Okay.
Yeah, we're going boxing, and I think if I met this guy, he'd probably still punch my lights out. I think he's like 65-ish.
But he's a monster. He's
Yeah,
a big man.
yeah. Frank Bruno.
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, God, I want to put him on there. He would have been 6 or 7. 10, top 10. He's in top 10 easily.
All right, you're number 4.
Oh, I feel like I'm making you pay for every time for the one snipe at this point. I'm going Major League Baseball. To think that his bloodline has got so much talent in it when you realize that his nephew is Gary Sheffield. And to think that he won the Cy Young. He won the Cy Young at 19, if I'm not mistaken. He was young when he won the Cy Young.
Yeah.
And you get the nickname Doc, but this guy couldn't keep himself out of trouble. I think when they paired him with Darryl Strawberry, it was like putting Tango and Cash together, or Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I'm kind of glad that he kind of got his life back together. My number 4 is Dwight Gooden.
Nice. My number 4, we're going in the acting world. A TV show I know I watch quite a bit. I still watch it on clips and stuff I see on Facebook and TikTok and stuff like that. And I know you probably watched it. She was a sister, had what, 5? No, let me see. Had 3 extra siblings, 2 sisters and a brother. She married or is married to, oh God, I can't think of the singer's name now, but you'll know once I tell you who it is. And that's one, Alyssa Bonet.
She was married to Lenny Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz, that's the one.
And
I was
then
going to say, it's the guy that looks like Jimi Hendrix.
and then she when they got divorced, she married Jason Momoa.
Okay.
And now they're divorced. So it's kind of hilarious.
Yep.
She was in my top 10 too. Lisa Bonet was on my top 10 too. I think when you said, "Oh, we're going to go back to this sport, we only do it 3 times," I'm thinking, well, we don't do NASCAR. Like we don't do NASCAR that much. I'm thinking, well, only this might be here. This is back when the Winston Cup happened. Matter of fact, I think he's one of only 2 brothers, only set of brothers to win the NASCAR Winston Cup championship. I remember, and the moment I tell you what car he drove, everybody remembers who he was because he drove the number 5 Kellogg's Cornflakes and Cornflakes car and the Frosted Flakes car or everything like that. And my number 3 is Terry Labonte.
Yeah, no, I got you on that one. Yeah, no, you didn't snipe me. No, I saw the name. He would have been up there. My number, where are we at? 3?
Yeah, 3 for you. Yeah.
Yeah, you did get it. You did get it. You did get it. One of my favorite pitchers, non-twins. Great hitting pitcher. Like you said, Dwight Gooden, definitely young. I wish he would have stayed off of things, but you know, it is what it is. So you're number 2.
This is going to be interesting at this point. Now I got to figure out who your top 2 is. I have a feeling who your number 1 might be, but my number 2, um, the man who created such a phenomenon back in the late '80s, um, basically the resurgence of video games, the reason why we have Mario Brothers, the reason why we have Zelda. Um, you know, the head of a company that's still around today, trying to do what they can against Sony and Microsoft, in a little company that used to make playing cards, which is funny when you realize that, in Nintendo. My number 2 is Shigeru Miyamoto.
All right. So my next curveball, comedian, young guy. Seen him mostly, I believe, on the TV show with Nick Cannon. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's on what was MTV. Um, he's been in some movies. Um, Funny guy, up and comer. That's Pete Davidson.
You did go Davidson.
Uh,
I'm like, how did I admit Matt Rife? But you went Pete Davidson. I wasn't putting D. If it were 11, I might have put Pete Davidson.
yeah.
Oh, he's okay. He's doing Taco Bell commercials now, though, so that's good. He used to do, what was that show? Wild and Out with Nick
Wild and
Cannon.
Out. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
He was also on Saturday Night Live for a little bit,
Yep.
too.
Yep. He's had some funny bits there. All right, you're number 1. I think we're
This
at.
was going to hurt you. This was going to hurt you a lot because you're only getting one snipe at this point. I believe your number 1 should be the same as mine. Believe. This man did, I want to say, 2 movies that took place, I want to say, in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. With Walter Matthau and John and what the hell is I can't remember the other guy's name. Two movies that were known as Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men. He was the old, curmudgeonly old cuss. The first time I ever saw him, he played the Penguin in the 1966 Batman TV series. But everybody, if every time I bring it, if I were to bring this name up, it only comes down to one movie series, and he tells Sylvester Stallone, "I want you to crap thunder and poop lightning," otherwise known as Mickey. My number 1 is Burgess Meredith.
Yeah.
You missed it.
I did miss it, and that's funny because you are right. The both movies were filmed here. Matter of fact, the city that those films were made in, every winter they do a Grumpy Old Men, a reunion type thing or festival type. Still gotta get down there, but you did get me on a snipe again. I think for the 3rd time in the last 3 categories we've done. You got my number 1, and that's the video game designer from Japan.
Wow. I didn't think it was going to be a Miyamoto, but holy smokes.
No, Mario Brothers iconic, and if you can get your hands on one of the original Japan Mario Brothers, you're living the high horse for money wise. So, all right, so that concludes the list, but we do have our new bit that we broke down a list. I want to give credit to the right person. So I think it was FATV. I think it was. Let me see. So they must FETV. They did a 10-year. It must be that they've been in business for 10 years, but they did a list, and I'm guessing that people vote on it. So I got their top 10, which I'll break down from 10 to 1, and then we'll discuss it and see who should be in, re-rank them if we need to. James Gardner at number 10, Betty White number 9, Don Knox at 8, Corral O'Connor at 7, Dick Van Dyke at 6, James Alness at 5, Andy Griffin at 4, Carol Burnett at 3, Ray Bird at 2, and Lucille Ball at 1. There's a couple names I disagree with that are not on there.
Yeah, I got two that I got one that's on there that I know.
But outside of that, I mean, if the fans voted on it, that's what they came up with. I will argue right now. I will not argue. Lucille Ball is number 1. I mean, I could hear arguments on Betty White because I know she's made herself, famous again. I mean, before her passing, she was still relevant.
I honestly would put Dick Van Dyke number 1. That's me.
I got Dick Van Dyke at number 4. I'm gonna take out Raymond Byrne and James
Arness. James Arness. Yeah,
Arness, yep. I put Michael Landon at number 2.
Landon's
I love him in Little House on the Prairie and what's that ghostly show that he did?
Stairway to Heaven.
Highway to Heaven.
Highway to
Heaven. Yeah, that was phenomenal movie. So for me, he's number 2.
I like the fact that you took James Arness out. I don't think so with James Arness. I don't think so with James Gardner either. I think 5 and 10 should be gone.
Ooh.
I like Lucille Ball at 1. I say Dick Van Dyke at 2. Betty White at 3. Carol Burnett at 4. Andy Griffin at 5. Carol O'Connor is not bad at 6. I would go. Oh, if I can remember his name, I'd be dangerous. Give me a second. I'll try to figure this out because I remember Smoking the Bandit and the one that played in The Honeymooners.
I know who you're thinking of. I can't think of his name.
I can't. Right.
So I got Lucille Ball 1, Landon 2. I got Betty White 3. Dick Van Dyke 4, Carol Burnett 5, Griffin 6,
Jackie Gleason.
That's a good one too. I like that. I got O'Connell at 7, Knox at 8. I'm adding Ron Howard at number 9.
Howard's good. I like Howard at that spot.
And James Conner at 10.
James Conner at 10. Okay. So I got to figure out who I'm putting at 10 at this point. Mary Tyler Moore?
Oh, Mary Tyler Moore is a good one. I like that.
No. Let's take Mary Tyler Moore off and put John Ritter.
Oh, yeah, John Ritter's a good one too. That's a good one.
Yeah, John Ritter.
That's a good one. So anyway, that wraps up our show for today, season 2 premiere of C2C Rankem. Tim, final thoughts?
Just call me Sniper. Just call me the Rankem Sniper. Which could change after next week because I may overthink this and go and try to plan and screw it all up. No, I like this. This is fun. It's the thought. It's that this new little added thing is definitely it's one of those round table you got to think on your feet type of thing right off the top, and I hope everybody else likes it. It's fun. I enjoy it, and I like I like rubbing people's faces in the dirt when they lose.
Yep. No, you got me today. I mean, we did 7 categories. You got 17 snipes. I got 1. So, no, I'm sorry. You got 16 because I got the 1. That's right. I can't count today. So, but no, it's great. I like doing these birthday lists. I know we got some other lists brewing. So, but with that being said, please check out C2C all week long. I'll be making a cameo appearance with our buddies from Independent Wrestle Talk tonight, and also Saturday I'll be with them. Between the Ropes tonight, Sportsman tomorrow, Kicking It Thursday, Creeping It Real Thursday or Friday, and then Entertainment Hours coming back.
Morning tailgate on
Morning tailgate on Sundays.
With Bacon and James, myself, and Big B. We have this new show that's getting ready to start that I'm hearing about.
Yep, we're bringing back Entertainment Hour. The Dragon Viper and James is going to be doing that, and
that's going to be. I'm going to say, does James know what he's getting himself into?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, with that being said, we'll see y'all next week on C2C Rankem. Have a good night.